Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Yeah, Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janabalabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotar Sadashya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Shabaru Ki Shri Raj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Lita Vishakadevis Ki Jai Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Pastachari Shatarine Hare Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna is very austere. You have a wooden plank to sit on here. You sleep on a wooden you sleep on a wooden board at night? Just a wooden board?
I feel like floating.
Floating, yeah. Hare Krishna. Well, welcome everyone this morning. Did I drive all the ladies away yesterday? There's hardly any ladies here today. What happened? I scared them all away. There's only a handful of ladies today. Yesterday there were several handfuls. Well, if I did, please apologize to the ladies. I didn't mean to scare them away. You can tell me what it was that I did to scare them and it would help me. Hare Krishna, everybody. Good morning. This glorious morning, we are now going on a mission. Of course, Srila Prabhupada has his ISKCON mission, but this is a similar thing. We're going on a mission, and we're going to be able to accompany, as we heard yesterday, Krishna was praising Akrura, his glorious qualities, and how pure devotees of the Lord can purify immediately, in fact. Of course, it a little bit depends on our reciprocation, no doubt, but they can purify immediately. Just by their presence alone, it has immediate purification. Wherever they go, we heard that they establish the place as a tirtha, or a holy place, spiritually, let's say, surcharged. And not only do they purify in terms of the externals, but the internals, which is the real aspect, you could say, of the association of pure devotees, is the change of heart that takes place in their association. It's not just a question of piety or a question of freedom from sinful reactions in terms of, let's say, the normal understanding of karma, or prarabdha karma, that which we are presently suffering from, or that we're afraid of suffering from because of acts that we know we did and we know that they're wrong, etc. But much deeper than that, changing the very cause of our, let's say, being implicated in this material cycle. So we're going to go with Akrura now on a journey to Hastinapur. And let's see where we go. What verse is on the board, please? Text number 11 is on the board. Okay. So we will jump forward and read the other verses first, with your permission. Is that okay? It might take a little while to get to number 11. If my mathematics is correct, there are 10 verses before 11. I haven't got a computer or a calculator with me, but I think it's 10. Okay. So I will only read the English, is that okay? Just the English. Shukadeva Goswami said, Akrura went to Hastinapura, the city distinguished by the glory of the Pandava rulers. Excuse me? Paurava, excuse me. The Paurava, thank you. Very good. I was just testing you, that was all. Just to see if you're listening or not, if you're attentive. The city distinguished by the glory of the Paurava rulers. There he saw Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Vidura, and Kunti, along with Balika and his son Somadatta. He also saw Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Karna, Duryodhana, Ashwatthama, the Pandavas, and other close friends. We saw them all. Because Hastinapura, where is Akrura coming from? I mean, in this particular case, where is he coming from? Mathura, very good. And where is Hastinapura? This is a tricky question, actually. There are different statements about its location. Excuse me? Well, that's sometimes understood to be what is known as now New Delhi. But then we find descriptions, and even it's described, it's on the river Ganges, and there's places on the Ganges which are, according to directives of various shastras, is the original city of Hastinapura. Indraprastha, the city of the Pandavas, that is understood to be, at least that much is to be understood to be the city of present-day Delhi, more or less. So we'll move on. It's just a description of the arrival of Akrura in Hastinapura, and he's seeing the prominent members of the society there, including Duryodhana. And here the word for Duryodhana is Suyodhanam. It's another name of Duryodhana. The next verse, text number 3, that was 1 and 2 actually. After Akrura, the son of Gandhini, had appropriately greeted all of his relatives and friends, they asked him for news of their family members, and he in turn asked about their welfare. Now we're going to ask, after reading the 11 verses, if Krishna allows us to stay that long, we're going to ask questions. I want you to, if you can, pick up any which you consider significant points in these verses, either words or points. Is that understood? Do you know what I mean? Yes. Okay, so see what we can do. We'll go on to the next verse. He, that means Akrura, remained in Hastinapura. What does Hastinapura mean? Elephants, yeah. So many elephants were there. A very opulent city. I mean, elephants are, of course, they can be very productive, but generally it's very, you have to be quite rich to maintain elephants, no? Isn't it? I don't know if you ever had elephants here at Radhadesh. Did you ever have elephants here? I had a look at your ghost shell this morning. It's very beautiful. It's a fantastic ghost shell. Pardon? Not yet. Elephants are coming? Well, we'll put it on the next meeting, the council meeting. Maybe we can bring... That will be a big novelty if you have elephants here, that's for sure.
Two small ones at the gate.
Okay, they look very peaceful. Very peaceful.
And aren't we all white elephants, probably?
Pardon?
Aren't we all white elephants?
Oh, dancing white elephants. Yes, there were some dancing white elephants this morning. I saw them in this noisy fair that you had here before the class. There were some dancing white elephants there, yeah. Yeah, but maybe they're attractive also, but anyway, whatever. Hastinapur, city of elephants. And as you may know, in New Mayapur, during Indradutta Maharaj's tenure there as the TP, sometimes they had elephants there. Yes, for festivals, they would, some another, rent or whatever you call it, elephants for the occasion. Quite an attraction. People like to see elephants, they do. Of course, in his own words, it took them ages to pay for them, in fact, years upon end, to pay the cost of just to rent elephants, what to speak of keep elephants, you know, especially what will you do with them? They would be tourist attraction, I suppose. But otherwise, elephants are very expensive. Let's go on to text 5 and 6. So we can understand it was a very opulent city. So Akrura remained in Hastinapur for several months to scrutinize the conduct of the weak-willed king who had bad sons and who was inclined to give in to the whims of mischievous advisors. Next verse. So you probably know who he's referring to when he says the weak-willed king. Who was that? Dhritarashtra. Next verses 5 and 6. Kunti and Vidura described to Akrura in detail the evil intentions of Dhritarashtra's sons, who could not tolerate the great qualities of Kunti's sons. You all know who the sons of Kunti are? Who are they? Difficult question, this one. Very difficult. Does anybody know? Bhakti Shastri exam going on here. The sons of Kunti. Pardon? Oh, you're really advanced. You know their personal names. Goodness. Arjuna? Pardon? Yudhisthira, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula. Wow! You must be at least Bhakti Vedantas at the moment. Bhakti Sarvabhaumas. Yes. He couldn't tolerate the great qualities of Kunti's sons. And there's a little list of some of their qualities here. This is interesting. Such as their powerful influence, military skill, physical strength, bravery, and humility. Interesting. All the intense affection the citizens had for them, or the intense affection. You know, I don't know, it wasn't here, but we were discussing this point the other day somewhere. How we are elated, joyful, when we see others praised for their good qualities, isn't it? How happy we feel. Yes, there's a real Vaishnavi here. I was expecting everyone to go like this. No, I'm very happy when you praise my qualities. When others are praised, out of my humility, I tolerate it, even though it's false. Sometimes we have a little of the Dhritarashtra mentality or the Duryodhana mentality. Thanks. So Duryodhana, the sons of Dhritarashtra, they couldn't tolerate that the sons of Kunti were so popular with the residents. Kunti and Vidur also told Akrura about how the sons of Dhritarashtra had tried to poison the Pandavas and carry out other such plots. Next verse. Kunti Devi, taking advantage of her brother Akrura's visit, approached him confidentially. While remembering her birthplace, she spoke with tears in her eyes. Queen Kunti said, "O gentle one, do my parents, brothers, sisters, nephews, family women, and girlhood friends still remember me? Does my nephew Krishna, the Supreme Personality and the compassionate shelter of his devotees, still remember his aunt's sons? And does lotus-eyed Rama remember them also? Now that I am suffering in the midst of my enemies, like a doe in the midst of wolves, will Krishna come to console me and my fatherless sons with his words?" And the verse for today, is that right? Krishna, Krishna? Great verse, huh? Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Prapanang Pahi Govinda.
Prapanang Pahi Govinda.
Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Prapanang Pahi Govinda.
Prapanang Pahi Govinda.
Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Prapanang Pahi Govinda.
Prapanang Pahi Govinda.
Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana. Prapanang Pahi Govinda. Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Prapanam Pahi Govinda.
Prapanang Pahi Govinda.
Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Shishubhishchavasidatim. Ladies.
Krishna, 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 Mahayogin.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana. Prapanang Pahi Govinda. Shishubhishchavasidatim.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Krishna, Krishna, Mahayogin.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Vishvatman, Vishvabhavana.
Govinda.
Prapanam Bhai Govinda. Shishubhishchava Siddhatim. Krishna Krishna Ya Yogin. Very nice. Krishna Krishna. Guess what that means? No. Oh, Krishna Krishna. The more you say Krishna, the better. Mahayogin. Possessor of the greatest spiritual power. Vishwa Atman. O Supreme Soul of the universe. Vishwa Bhavana. O Protector of the universe. Prapanam. A surrendered lady. Pahi. Please protect. Govinda. O Govinda. Shushubhi. Along with my children. Cha. And. Avasiddhati. Who am sinking down in distress. Translation, and there's a short purport by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna, Krishna. No, by Gurudev. Thank you. I'm glad we've got some Brahmin checkers with us this morning. Not by Gurudev. Who did the purport? Huh? Vidayananda Maharaj and others. It's not specifically said exactly which one. Dravida was involved. Other scholars were involved also. Krishna, Krishna. Purport. Since Lord Krishna maintains the entire universe, thought Kunti Devi, surely he can protect our family. The word avasidatim indicates that Kunti Devi was overwhelmed by troubles. Thus, exhausted, she was helplessly taking shelter of Sri Krishna. In her prayers in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kunti admits that all of these troubles were actually a blessing, for they forced her to always be intensely Krishna conscious. End of purport. So back to the point which we mentioned before we started reading the verses. Did you pick up anything? Any particular points of relevance? Any words? Anything which you feel, every word is significant, but anything specific? Yes.
The mother of Akrura. It was the first time I hear that name.
The mother of Akrura.
Yes.
What was her mother's name? What was his mother's name?
I forgot already.
Kali Yuga.
The second verse, I think, which you read.
What was her name? Son of? Gandhini. Okay, there you go. Now that's not a very philosophical point, but it's an interesting point, that he's the son of Gandhini. Now the next question will be, who is Gandhini? She is the mother of Akrura. Okay. Any other questions? Anything else? Yes.
In the verse before
Number 9?
So
Text number 9.
does my benefit Krishna, the Supreme Personality, and the compassionate shelter is the Lord is still remember his aunt's sons, and there's lotus I grounded under them all also. So it seems like she's doubting.
Yes.
Yeah, but actually after.
Yes.
It's very much, she's very much appreciated you were with us. So then, I think sometimes when we have troubles, we think that we are actually abandoned, but afterwards we realize that actually this was a complete blessing. So why is it like that? What is after we realize?
Afterwards, yeah. Do we have a microphone? So, because it's a little hard to hear. Maybe anyone who likes to say something, maybe they can use the microphone. But there's a nice comment there that she seems to have some doubt that Krishna and her relatives, friends, etc. Remember her. Those who are not there in Hastinapura. And when you're in difficulty, sometimes we think that we're abandoned. But actually it's a blessing, and afterwards we realize it, and we'll see why in a few minutes also. Well, it's also a stage of humility where you feel, in a sense, another aspect of this, where you feel, why shouldn't, in one sense, I'm so insignificant, or whatever it may be, why should they remember me? But she's appealing. Even in the Ishopanishad, we see, I think it's the last verse there, where the speaker of Ishopanishads, please remember all that I have done for you. As if, Krishna, it's a stage of devotional service, so to speak. A fear, in a sense, maybe a healthy fear, that, that we really on our own, we have no hope. If they don't remember me, if they don't show their blessings or their mercy on me, I'm lost. I hope they remember me. I hope they've got a good word for me. Devotees often say something like, Prabhu, when you go, Mata, when you go back to Godhead, please say a good word for me. You ever heard that? Yeah. We know that it's really the mercy of the devotees that they're remembering us somehow or another. They remember us. And we can see that even in our own lives. I mentioned that here when I was here maybe 6 years ago. I remember Sachinanda Maharaj was here, and I was here, and we were speaking here. And I just had an accident in New Mayapur. And I was, actually at that time I couldn't walk. I could walk, but not very well. I was in a wheelchair for a while. What happened, I'd fallen down the stairs at New Mayapur. If you've been to New Mayapur, maybe here, I can't remember, but they have a marble spiral staircase. Huh? You know this, some of you have been there. There's a spiral, it goes around, marble. And at midnight, we just came back. It was almost to the day, actually. It was 21st of June, about 6 years ago. And why I know the date? Because it was French. They have what they call a music day on the, the summer solstice, where everyone can go out on the street anywhere you like and make as much noise throughout the night with music. So it's not a big day for us because the amount of sound from others is unbelievable. But anyway, it was that day, the Harinam Ruchi party had just arrived, and they joined us for most of the Harinam. And we went back, and it was about 11:30 when we got back to New Mayapur. And most of the other devotees were, of course, resting, and I was running up and down trying to arrange prasadam and accommodation for the Harinam Ruchi party. But I thought I knew the stairs like the back of my hand, but I missed the step about 5 steps from the bottom, because they're narrow like this and they go out, and my foot went flip over the side, and I was going fast because we had to do things quickly, and I literally dived head first onto the marble floor. Bang! My head went smack on the floor like this. And my left hand, my right foot and my left hand, my right foot twisted when I went over the step, and my right hand took a good percentage of the pressure, and it went right back, It was really heavy. I heard the crack as my head hit the marble floor, and I thought that's probably a split skull. And, with my right hand, my left hand was just like a blazing ball of fire at the end of my arm. And so was my right foot. So my right hand, I went like this, and there wasn't even a drop of blood. Not even a drop. Not even a scratch. Not even a bruise. I couldn't believe it. This and that were out. And what happened when I hit the ground was a loud roar came out of my mouth. Now, normally we would expect some kind of distressful roar, or something even worse. So that karma is, it's sometimes very, well, maybe they say, Jesus Christ, or something, but that's not usually when you have something like that. But anyway, the roar came out of my mouth. Krishna! Krishna! And I realized it wasn't me. Not that I'm not Krishna, I don't mean that. I realized it was like somehow or another, Krishna. I didn't remember Krishna, but Krishna remembered us. That's what impression I got. And this is an example, a dangerous situation, you could say, a distressful one, and Krishna remembers us in so many ways. Many times when devotees are in helpless situations, seemingly, perhaps they've drifted away even from Krishna consciousness. How many times have we seen this? That devotees who've really done service, is never forgotten, drifted away, gave up their principles, so disassociated themselves more or less from devotees' association, took up a lifestyle which is far from devotional. And when the late, perhaps death was on their doorstep, there's several prominent cases, 2 or 3, 2 prominent ones and one very, very special one I know about, of devotees who had serious disease with AIDS, and at the time, and they were drifted so far away that devotees didn't even know if they existed in 1 or 2 cases. But Krishna arranged at the last moment that devotees would be with them. They never asked for it in many cases. Probably in all cases. I know 1, 2 where they definitely didn't ask. But Krishna did. He remembered the service they did, and he sent the devotees there at the last moment. This is real protection. It's not so much protecting you so that your foot doesn't get broken, or you don't lose your money, or whatever. It's protecting us in a much, much, much deeper way. So in one sense, that's the thread of these verses. If we go to text 11, we talk there about where Kunti says, the protector of the universe, please protect me who have surrendered to you, and so on. So even we may not be fully surrendered, Krishna is still protecting us. It may be different, as Krishna says himself, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. We could say, protect you accordingly. Now, for a very, very, very neophyte devotee, it may be of a different nature. Most neophytes expect protection from, death or loss or something, isn't it? Protection from, an earthquake or war or whatever it is that they're afraid of, or whatever's on their doorstep. So they expect Krishna, if they believe in God, they're praying to God for protection. They may pray for other things too, this thing, that, other more general things, or more, let's say, broad-minded things. But generally speaking, they're praying for material. And the protection to them is a material protection. Please protect, and even in the Bhagavatam also there's a section, you pray to so-and-so to protect your legs, your limbs, your arms, your chest, your this, your that. But, it's a stage, but it's not a very mature stage. You could say a protection. I remember one time we were in a television show in London, and it was a very unusual one. I was just going along as a visitor with the devotees who invited me along, and it was a challenge show. There was a panel of atheists challenging religion live. And I think they had it all set up, I'm not sure, because they didn't invite any of us to speak. But they had like a Muslim, a Christian, a this and a that, and they were challenging them. And there was one Christian lady in a wheelchair, she had terminal cancer. So they were challenging her, where's your Jesus now? You say Jesus protects you, but look at you, you're on your deathbed. You know, maybe we could protect, some of them were doctors, maybe we could protect you. Maybe we could protect you. You know, you're dying. What is Jesus doing for you? I said, no, Jesus is protecting me. They tried to prise her open in terms of what you mean by that. And she said, I have no fear. I have no fear. I know the Lord is with me. I have nothing to be afraid of. If you want, she didn't say that exactly, but the principle is, if you want to kill me, you can kill me. And if you don't, that's up to you. You can do what you like. I could see that this lady had some realization. And she was obviously a serious Christian. But she had a strong faith in Jesus, that he was with her. So that's another level of higher level, we can say, of protecting us from fear of this world. That fear is always there. And unless we take shelter of the Lord or the Lord's pure devotees, fear will overwhelm us. It's the most powerful, you could say, energy, practically speaking, threatening the consciousness of the living entities in many ways. People are afraid of death, they're afraid of so many things, underlying all the other things. You could go on and on with that subject, but protection. For a devotee, another level of protection. Queen Kunti is an intimate associate of the Lord, so it's a little different here, in some ways, but not in others. For a devotee or an aspiring devotee, what type of protection do we seek? What do we want? What do you want? What type of protection? Do you pray to Krishna for protection? Krishna, 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 Pahi Mam. Actually, the same word is mentioned here, Pahi Mam, I think. Where is it? Text number 11. Huh? Pahi is mentioned there. Pahi. Protection. Oh Krishna, please protect me. And then Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahi Mam. Please protect me. Pahi Mam. We sing that. I don't know if we're conscious of it, but even the Sringadev prayers, where Prabhupada established these prayers in our movement for protection of our own as well as the movement, right? We may be praying for the protection of the movement or other devotees. What else are we protecting for? Praying for, right? Yes? Hands up.
Protection from forgetting Krishna.
Very nice. Protection from forgetting Krishna. That's a dangerous, I mean, in one sense, where tendency is to forget Krishna, isn't it? Have you ever known, do you ever forget Krishna? Has anyone here experienced that we forget Krishna sometimes? Really? You're a GPC, you're not supposed to forget Krishna. If you forget Krishna, what chance have we got? You're supposed to be managing us all. Huh? You ever forget Krishna? Yes or no? Yes. You do. Do you ever remember Krishna?
No, maybe.
Sometime maybe. Mostly we don't think of him much, do we? I mean, okay, I'll change the statement. Mostly I don't think of Krishna. Generally. I'm still self-centered. I still think I'm the doer. You know, I am achieving this. Just see how good I'm doing, etc., etc. Or comparing with others, or analyzing the situation around us. Yes, it can be related. It should be related. It should be related through the practical service, no doubt. But in one sense, we're not so mature in this regards of being absorbed in remembering Krishna always. We're supposed to be. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmar yujacham mayapita manobodhir mami vaishyasya samshayaha. Krishna says in all your activities, whatever you do, whatever it is, we're supposed to remember him. We're supposed to remember Krishna. Not so easy, is it? But Krishna remembers you, or us, because you're serving pure devotee of the Lord. Without the mercy of those devotees, that's like Queen Kunti, she's hoping she's getting the mercy of these wonderful, of Krishna himself, and all the others, Balaram, and so on and so forth. Do they remember me? Please, don't forget me. I'm not worth remembering, but if you don't, I have no hope. Kind of a humility, huh? What else? What else? Protection. What are the forms of, yes,
Pray for protection from Maya.
From Maya. Prabhupada said this many times. Huh? We take it for granted sometimes. I'd mention two things here. One, regarding the previous point. Lila Shakti, what did you say? Can you repeat it?
I just said protection so we don't forget Krishna.
Okay, fantastic. So there's Prabhupada in 1968 wrote a letter to Devananda Prabhu, and in this letter he said, this should be our only prayer. My dear Lord Krishna, please remind me to always chant your holy name and never put me into forgetfulness. You are sitting in my heart as the super soul. You can cause me to remember and forget as you like, but I beg you, please always remind me. Whether I go to heaven or hell, please remind me always to chant your holy names. So in relationship to that, we also, I don't know, say forget may not be the word, but we possibly could be chanting more than we're doing. Probably. And Prabhupada even describes we should practice chanting mantras, various mantras, Mahamantra the primary one, so that when danger's always there, as we know, samasitiye padapalava plavam hatpadam punya yashomarari. It's not that we sometimes think we're not in danger. We think we're okay. You ever got that feeling sometimes? Comfort zone? Ever had that? You feel like you're in a comfort zone? Ever had that? A devotee realizes there's danger at every step. Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. Every moment. In fact, when you're in a comfort zone, that's more dangerous. That's the dangerous situation. You sort of take it for granted and you cheat, you ease off a little bit. I remember the devotees in Russia, after the Glasnost, whenever that was, 89 or whatever it was, up to then it had been very difficult, you could say, to openly practice Krishna consciousness. In fact, in many cases it was life-threatening. And something you probably wouldn't want to be put into. I had an experience myself one time when I was being taken to the shooting range. Literally, in Africa. I was preaching in Africa. And you've heard these things before. One of our devotees died when they were taken to the shooting range. I didn't. I got off by the skin of my teeth, as they say in English. And but when we were being taken to the shooting range, myself and one other black devotee, I was actually feeling very blissful. Funny, huh? I didn't expect that. I was feeling terrible before. I won't get into all the details. And when I didn't get shot, and then they put me in a jail, I felt terrible again. Strange, huh? Well, I realized there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. I had zero other shelter. Nobody in the world knew where I was, literally, other than the boy who was with me, and he was going in the same direction as me. And it was like there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. 12 guys in the vehicle with machine guns sat in front of me. And it was just like, well, it's all over. There's nothing you can do. And a kind of a feeling of inner content came over us. And chanting, I've had several experiences like chanting like you don't normally chant. It wasn't like you're trying to chant and your mind's going bananas. But it was a different type of experience. You realized that we're not the controller. There's no other shelter. None. We forget that much of the time. We get maybe overwhelmed by whatever, maybe even proud. But it was amazing, quite an experience of recollection, how that mood of total dependence on Krishna, when you realize it wasn't a permanent state, but it was at least let's say a little sample of what it might be to be completely dependent upon Krishna, like that. And that's how the pure devotees are, even though they're acting in this world. Prabhupada one time in Bombay, he'd given a lecture. In a lecture he'd been describing how we should all be very careful. Any one of us could fall down or be captured by Maya any moment. Very dangerous. You don't realize how dangerous the situation is. It's become even more critical in some ways now that we have access with our modern social media to no end of Kali's, tricks. No end. To deviate the devotees, as Prabhupada said, only within can this movement be destroyed, not from without. And Kali is entering in this way if we're not careful. As we hear, a very important point in these verses, by the way, which maybe you were going to bring it up next, I felt was an important point. Relevant, very, very, very relevant. Which verse was it in? Let's see. Here, text number 4. Conduct the conduct of the weak-willed king who had sons and who was inclined to give in to the whims of mischievous advisors. This is our tendency sometimes too, huh? The mischievous advisors, they may well be nothing but our own minds. We listen to our own minds sometimes. Sometimes. We judge the whole world according to our crazy mind. Huh? Judge other people according to the way I see it. The way I feel. I'm in the center. You're in my way. You're annoying. You have to be removed. Etc. You cause me disturbance. We have that tendency sometimes. Modern society is full of it. And social media is full of it too. And anyway, this is like a big topic, but we won't go down there. But this ill-advisors, being ill-advised, very dangerous. That we don't get hijacked. There are many highway robbers on the path of devotion, right from the word go, who have their own specific agendas or whatever interpretations. Spiritual path is full of it. Even in our own association, sometimes we have to be careful. We have to be very careful how we associate, etc. Our tendency is to go that way. Our conditioned tendency, and to, curiosity killed the cat. We have a saying. Have you heard that saying? Curiosity killed the cat. Or that mischievous monkey who got, caught in the wood, killed by that. Try to pull the plug out, crushed. What's it? Anyway, this mischievous mentality, this over-curious for Krishna consciousness is one thing, but curious about this thing and that thing can be very dangerous. You have to be careful. I remember one devotee, he was early devotee, he joined just before I did in London, Sukarma Prabhu. And I'm sure that Krishna has given him mountains of blessings. We think of him sometimes because we're indebted to him. But he had a problem with liquor. Before he became a devotee, he was a little bit inclined towards drinking. And he fell away at a certain point of time from practice and he became a drinker again. Then he came back again. And his philosophy was that he would convert the drunkards just like Lord Nityananda did. So he would go to all the pubs and preach in the pubs. Pubs? You know what a pub is? You call it pub? You know what a pub is? What's a pub? I don't know. Do they call it pubs over here? They do, okay. They do, sort of. bar, pub, liquor store, I don't know. Where people go to drink liquor, generally speaking. He knows very well what it is. Huh? You know, we have a village near New Mayapur. It's called Ekie. Ekie? Is that you pronounce it in French? Ekie. And many devotees live there, and the busiest place in the village is the pub. And some of the previous practicing devotees are quite frequenters of the pub there. If you want to find them, you have to go to the pub to find. It's Kali Yuga, you know, we're so weaklings. Weaklings, as is mentioned here, weakling. Dhritarashtra is a weakling. A weakling. Now, another interesting thing about this is, though it's not mentioned here, I don't know if it's mentioned later on, I can't say, but I know it's a fact that Dhritarashtra had good counsel, not only from Akrura, but from many others too. Vidura, Krishna himself. So many persons tried to give him good counseling. And he knew that they were right. Have you ever had this problem as well? You know it's wrong, but still, it's my nature. Prabhupada tells the story of the horse and the scorpion, huh? Crossing the river. It's my nature, I'm sorry. What to do? And you know it's wrong, but we're still attached. As long as we're attached to sense gratification, there's going to always be a tendency to be misled in this way. We have an attachment. As Dhritarashtra was insanely attached to his sinful sons. Huh? No matter what, he couldn't do anything about it. I mean, Janakapan said, if your son, what are you, I don't think Janakapan it, but anyway, it is a statement there, that even if as a king, if your son is a sinner, you have to, punish him just like anyone else. You don't show any favor. If you're actually in the kingdom. But he was showing tremendous favor for his own sons. So misled, not just by his sons, but by his weakness, weak nature. Weak nature. Due to material affection, family affection, material objective affection, etc. Position, afraid of losing his position. That's another fear, isn't it? So, protection, as Hridaya Chaitanya Prabhu said, from Maya. Maya is not exactly our enemy. If we see Prahlad Maharaj, for instance, in his prayers, he's not, different prayers emphasize different things, but he's always afraid, isn't it? Always afraid due to his being born in a demoniac family, that, this will influence him, that he'll become overwhelmed again. Pride is a very powerful thing to, even Lord Brahma. I mean, Lord Brahma is our Parama Guru, and the secondary creator, you could say, creator of this universe on behalf of the Lord. And even he is praying that he might not become overwhelmed with pride in the course of creation. It's easy, isn't it? We all know when we've got a little position that we may sometimes get overwhelmed with pride. In English we say, a pauper is proud of his penny. Have you heard of that? Sometimes on the street, even a beggar, 1 cent, he'll fight over 1 cent. Pride. I remember we were in one temple in Navadweep. Can you believe this? Navadweep, on Navadweep Parikrama one year, many, many years ago. We went to one temple, I can't remember which one it was, but there was a pujari there, and an old pujari, a young one and an old one. And the young one, I don't know which one it was, I can't remember. One of them was making an appeal for the temple. And the devotees were all coming forward with money. And we saw afterwards these two pujaris were fighting over the money. Fighting over the donations. Physically fighting. Another form, possession, pride. It's mine, it's mine. I'm the one, I'm the boss here, whatever it is. Pride, very dangerous, very dangerous. Many things to be protected from our enemies. Most people think their enemies are perhaps another body of people who have a different philosophy or something like that, or nature's, I remember one time I was in Christchurch, a week after the earthquake. I arrived a week after. I went there because the devotees had been devastated. And it was quite an experience. I mean, every day there were earthquakes. We'd be in a room talking with devotees, and suddenly, boom, everybody's going like this. 2,000 earthquakes in 1 month we had. 2,000. Not just one or two, 2,000. Every day there was like shimmering and shuddering, sometimes heavy, sometimes very light. Yeah, and people living through that. Pretty scary. And then we went for the memorial. There's a big park, and about 100,000 people turned out. And there's the bishops and politicians, even one of the sons of the Queen was there. All kinds of big knobs were there, the mayor, different religious leaders. There was one religious leader of one group. I won't mention the name in case it's online. But there was one religious leader there. Not religious, but community leader. It was because of the hoo-foo-wum-hoo that came in touch with a goo-goo-hoo-hoo and then flip-a-hoo-hoo. He was going like this in front of everybody, Everyone was like scratching their heads, wondering what on earth he was speaking in his own language. All kinds of weird things. And then someone else came on and said, "This is not the work of God. Nobody knows why this has happened." And someone else said, "This is the work of the devil." All people were saying different things, Nobody was taking any responsibility whatsoever. And the mayor comes on. "We will recreate Christchurch to be a glorious city, more glorious, more stronger, more powerful than ever before." He was roaring away there, It was a whole scenario of, fanaticism or ignorance. Nobody really has a clue what's going on. It was absolutely apparent. Absolutely apparent. Our prayers are with you all. On behalf of Her Royal Majesty, we're all praying for your welfare. It's all meaningless in reality. Sentiment. You can also become overwhelmed with material sentiments, doubts, so many things, easily. And so many dangers on the royal path. They say accidents also take place on the royal path. You have to be careful. So many ways, Lord, we have to pray for protection and really try to remember Him, not just protecting us from the usual forms of protection. Pride is a very big thing. When we give class or lead kirtan or achieve some activity, some relative result or whatever it is, not to become proud that we are the achiever, etc. It's a very big subject matter. We're going to finish there. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Any questions? What is your good name, Prabhu?
Rohini Nandan Das.
What a lovely name. Rohini Nandan Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. I don't know if you need the microphone or not.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your words.
Oh, thank you. And there is one more thing I want to do before we finish, after your question.
Okay.
The main point. Yes, go for it.
I was reading yesterday from Krishna book that Balaram killed Ramaharsha, and then he went on pilgrimage, and then he, in the meantime he heard that this battle of Kurukshetra was going on, and then he reached Kurukshetra while Bhishma and Bhima and Duryodhana were fighting, and then nobody say a word because they didn't want to displease him or Krishna or not. And then Prabhupada says that Balaram was very much inclined towards Duryodhana. But it sounds strange to me because Duryodhana
It's very strange.
is not a devotee, so to say, no?
Yeah. Balaram is Adi Guru. It's like your guru is supporting the demons, Sukracharya. Yeah.
Duryodhana is a demon or what?
Well, this question was asked of Prabhupada. Hari Suri, I believe, was the one who asked it. Maybe in 76 or something. He asked that very question of Srila Prabhupada. And you know what Prabhupada's answer was? Amazing answer. He said, Duryodhana is playing the part of a demon. He's actually an eternal associate of Balaram. That's what Prabhupada said. He's Lord Balaram's eternal associate. He's just playing the part. They're all playing parts according to the drama. Does that answer it?
Makes sense.
I mean, that pretty much answers everything. And that's what Prabhupada said. I've got the quotation. I've got the quote. Jai. Jai Balaram. So be careful. You never know who that demon is. Sometimes demons are in positions where... I want to read something before we... Another question or comment? A comment on the same thing? Okay.
Because I was thinking when Duryodhana was born, the priest was saying we have to kill him.
Kill him, yeah.
He's a demon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I'm literally bewildered.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more to it than we can see what's going on. We only see on the surface what's going on here. All the things that we go through, or even the interactions with demons, and even demons, apparent demons in this world, are instrumental. They may be demons or not. It's like Jai and Vijay. Prabhupada says it's a mistake, a completely mistaken idea to think that Jai and Vijay come down in every single millennium to play the part of, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyasha. They don't, Prabhupada said. In other millenniums, they're demons. But they're still playing the part. They're powerful demons. Everything ultimately orchestrated by the Lord for a bigger purpose. A bigger purpose. So even people, we can put names to anyone, and, relatively speaking, we have to obviously use common sense in order to understand the difference between piety and sin. But in absolute sense, they're instrumental. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, anyone who appears to be a reformer of this world is nothing but an instrument in the hand of the Lord, doing what has to be done, whether it's a change in events or whether it's simply a karmic, whatever, outpouring. It's nonetheless the Lord's hand working through them. They're simply, but they think they're the doer. Everyone else thinks they're the doer, good or bad, but we're all simply instruments in the hands of Krishna's energies. So. Which chapter is the prayers of Queen Kunti? Does anyone know?
8.
Chapter number?
8.
8? Okay. I'm on 9, chapter 8. Thank you very much. Prayers, here we go. Prayers of Queen Kunti, about 24 or something like that. If you have it, you can follow along with us. I'll just read these. Food for thought, summary of today. Let's see. We'll go to 23 and read a few verses. Text 23. This is Queen Kunti praying to Krishna. O Rishikesh, Master of the senses and Lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and my children from a series of constant dangers. The real danger and the real prayer is to our enemies are not this one and that one. The enemy is lust, greed, anger, illusion, madness, and anger. Those are the enemies which we need to be protected from. And they're right there inside us. My dear Krishna, this is a famous verse. Your Lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashvatthama. I wish, and some of you know this verse. Do you know this verse? Vipada santutakshashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatshad apanar bhava darshanam. I wish that all those calamities may happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. When we're put into these situations, there's a great opportunity to genuinely take shelter of Krishna. Not just try to adjust the world around us. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, one who thinks they can reform this world is indeed in need of reform. No one can reform this world but by the breadth of a hair. Not even the breadth of a hair. The only reform which is needed is our own perception. The change in how we see it. That is evoked by exposing ourselves to the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name. There is no other solution. So these dangerous situations are there every moment. We may not recognize it within and without. Taking shelter of the holy name. That's what we're here for. We're not here for justification. We're here to get out of here. We're here to go back to Godhead. Taking shelter of the holy name. Whatever situation we're put in, materially justified or unjustified, Krishna's hand is working to help us take shelter of him. Not just everyone else around us. And there's a great purport, I'll leave it to you to read, that's text 25, chapter 8. And the next verse, another famous verse, which is again related to today because there's a mention here, where was it, I can't remember, in the purport Prabhupada said, thus exhausted, she was helplessly taking shelter of Sri Krishna. Exhausted. Now this word exhausted will be explained. My Lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. So as long as we have any other motivation, it was not material exhausted doesn't mean, Prabhu, I've been working all day long, 18 hours, I'm exhausted. Now, I must be qualified now to approach Krishna with pure motivation. Maybe, but that's not the meaning. What does materially exhausted mean?
Fed up with material life.
Excuse me?
Fed up with material life.
It may be. Many people are fed up with material life. Yes, well, it's correct, but it doesn't mean they're all going to take shelter of Krishna. Say something more.
No more faith.
Pardon?
No more faith.
People they commit suicide sometimes when they're fed up with material life too. Huh?
No more faith.
Yeah, they have no, well, let's take that a little further. They have no more, they've given up all inclinations to think that there's no other shelter, as you say in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Pratyeka Mamikam Sharanam. They're not depending on anything else. They're not putting their shelter or their faith in, whatever it may be in society. You work along with it, you live with it, but you don't depend on it in any way whatsoever. You realize there is no other shelter, absolutely none, other than Krishna's lotus feet, holy name, completely. You tried everything under the sun to achieve whatever we've tried to achieve in this world, and you've had enough, finished. Just now I'm yours, do what you like with me. And there's not like, totally unconditional, you could say, without any condition, Anyabhilasa Darshana. There is no condition whatsoever, other than your will, how I can please you. That's all. Nothing on one's own account, how I can please me. I'll please you if you please me. Nothing like that whatsoever. Yes, Prabhu.
What you're describing now, I connected to what your experience in Africa. And what will you do after this experience?
What?
So, full dependence on the Lord. Sorry. So, you were describing your experience in Africa, how you surrendered to the holy name.
It was something within. It just, I just saw this as similar when I had hit my head, is that Krishna came. It's like Krishna reminded me It wasn't like I was ready. I didn't feel ready. Krishna reminded me. I didn't feel like, had any qualification. I was proud, very proud. I thought I was doing, I'm a missionary in a dangerous country, and Krishna smashed it. You could say, at least at that time, the tendency is still there. But I just felt Krishna's, what can I say? I just felt that Krishna was there and protecting us. That's all. Why? That's his choice. He can do or not do. Maybe just to encourage us, maybe to give us that glimpse of a little bit, a tiny glimpse of little different stage of devotion. I don't know, but it was a real experience. So that's all I can say. To analyze it beyond that, what can I say? Afterwards, as I said, that although remembering that quite clearly, when and I realized one thing. One big thing here is ignorance. Ignorance is the most, let's say, fearful or horrible thing. Ignorance. And when I didn't know what was happening, I was literally feeling very disturbed, trying to chant, but I was, in all different lines of, thinking. And when there was no question of ignorance anymore there, you knew exactly what was happening. We were told clearly, we're going to shoot you now. There was no more ignorance. You knew what was happening. So from that relative point of view, there was a change. And at that point, I think Krishna was just, again, given experience that ignorance should be slashed with a weapon of knowledge, of course, but a little bit of an indication, as long as we're in ignorance of whatever, our identity, our relationship, whatever it is, who we are, and so on, then ignorance will naturally evoke fear, or fear will be there. But then when we're put in the jail, which was another chapter you could say, in this episode, disturbance came back. I don't know if you could define it exactly as fear, but it was certainly related to fear, because I'll give you an example. The man next to me in the jail, which was more like a pigsty than a jail, but anyway, the guy next to me, a black guy, and he spoke English. Some of them did, some of them didn't. I asked him, what's going on here? And he said, I don't know. I said, how long have you been here? He said, I think it's 8 years, but I'm not sure. So what are you doing here? He said, I don't know. He said, isn't anyone doing anything about it? He said, I have no idea. No one's ever visited me in 8 years. I've just been stuck here. He said, they do that to all the prisoners here. They'll do it to you as well. That's when the bomb dropped, Oh God, why didn't they shoot me, This was fate worse than hell, I'll tell you. I mean, that was the most hellish place I've seen in my life. That prison, the most hellish thing I've ever seen. They let me out after 3 or 4 days. That's another story in the chapter. But anyway, it was you get these, Krishna. I mean, I could go on with similar stories like this actually, but that one was quite a profound one. That's how Krishna tests us, testing us, just as like this. You think, oh yeah, and then boom, back into your rut again. Me in the center. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mata. A microphone.
We have devotees, they don't ask for Krishna's help. And we have devotees like Kunti, she's asking Krishna's for help.
Speak a little slower, I'm still a little difficult. I have bad hearing.
So we hear of devotees.
When we hear of devotees
who are asking Krishna for help.
Asking Krishna for help.
Like Kunti, and then there are devotees who don't ask Krishna for help.
Yes.
So is there a difference? What is the difference in the
The difference is one asks and the other one doesn't.
Is it correct to ask?
Again, we see that there's like different scenarios, different situations, and anyone who asks Krishna for help is definitely, connected. To what degree our connection is pure, what type of help we're asking, but it means we're definitely on the path towards Krishna. Of course, there sometimes we're asking Krishna, I want to merge into you. You know, we might have a little bit of Vrikasura mentality, you know, who's like, you know, praying to Lord Shiva, but when he gets the boon from Lord Shiva, the first thing he wants to do is to kill him. You know, so it depends on the motive. Ultimately, as Prabhupada said, everything depends on your motive or attitude behind it. What your real motive is. If you're in ignorance and you're, you know, in the neophyte stage, then no one's innocent, as we heard. But it's a kind of an innocence that you don't know anything more. You're praying to God for, you know, a child praying, please may I pass my exams, please save my mummy, this, that, the other. So there's a childish ignorance there, which, you know, if the sincere purpose is, sincere motive is there, one will then be able to progress to a higher stage, you could say, of devotion. If the motivation is ill motivation, you know, then maybe pray to God, please give me the strength to kill them all, to kill all my enemies. Now, that's not a very nice motivation. Now, even with that, there's still some element of God consciousness, but it's not very favorable. So this is up to the Lord, how he judges each and every one of us. So, and different persons may not even manifest prayer. The Hare Krishna mantra itself is a prayer anyway, and we repeat sometimes notable prayers, sometimes heartfelt prayers. Different prayers are mentioned, and you can find the Bhagavatam is full of pure prayers. Some of them are a little motivated, but it's full of relevant prayers. So according to the stage which we're on in devotional service, various prayers would be considered more relevant or not. But what counts is the, let's say, the motivation at various stage. In a human society, at different stages of our devotional progress or our human progress, you know, something is relevant. If you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, for instance, how he gives encouragement to all different persons at different levels of progress, down to the lowest level of social interaction, practically. And what would be a relevant devotional practice at that stage would not be a relevant practice at a more mature stage. So a prayer at one stage would not be necessary at another stage. And you may find that before you came to Krishna consciousness, I would say I was more specific on prayers than I am now. I would have been praying for something, whatever it would have been. And then my last prayer before coming to Krishna consciousness was a prayer to Jesus Christ. So, and I have to say that I do believe in the core of my heart that Jesus Christ showered his mercy on us, in the sense that I was praying for guidance. I was praying for guidance. I need some guidance. I don't know how to go with, I don't know what to do with all of this. Some faith was there, some hope was there, but what to do with it? Some faith and hope in Jesus. Praying for guidance. Within a few weeks of that, then I came in contact with Prabhupada's books. So many devotees have had a similar experience, so many. It was a prayer of a different kind, taking us from the material to the spiritual. When a person's ready, and their prayers are ready, then Krishna arranges that then you actually get the opportunity to associate or to fulfill, or at least the opportunity to fulfill that particular request of the Lord. The Lord's hand is also working. Of course, he wants us all to go back to Godhead. The devotees want us to go back to Godhead. So, education of kids. Now Ramananda has gone off to maybe drop his kid off. I don't know what he's done, or pick him up. I don't know what he's doing. But he's gone. So he was delivering his kid to school. How old is his kid? How old is his kid? Ramananda. How old?
Maybe 10 or
10 years old. So at 10 years old, he's already now getting into higher education a little bit. 5 years ago, it was very simple, very simple. You know, most ABC, 1 + 2. That is relevant at that point of time. So prayers should be relevant according to one's situation. They should be relevant. We can hear notable prayers, but prayers should be relevant. They should be relevant according to our situation. So And that's what human society is supposed to do, to guide people. Maybe we don't have that guidance, but to guide people according to their situation, to relevant prayers, relevant subject matter, relevant association, relevant activity, everything relevant, environment, to help that person to grow to the next stage. This is Varnashram. It's not an imposition on society, it's a natural circumstance, a natural situation which grows out of people's individuality, organized, of course, by those with intelligence, but is meant to facilitate the gradual progress or the evolution of the living entity's consciousness, even the type of prayers that they offer. If someone's a pious person, but they're very materialistic and they're praying, God, please protect me, that, I not lose this or that, or whatever it is, are you going to go along and say, this is all nonsense, you idiot? You should be praying for unalloyed, pure devotional service. Well, it's true in one sense. But one has to see the level of advancement of that particular person as well as the prayer which they have. You encourage them, it's very nice. Now we can add a little bit more to that. Add a little bit more. Don't just smash whatever they've already got. Break their faith in whatever little faith they have. But try to add to their faith, not destroy it. Not destroy it. That's a mature preacher. Okay, I'm going to finish there with your permission. One last comment or point, but that will be it. Is it?
So that happened a few years ago, and this boy, I think his name was Goranga, and he was from France, but originally from, I think, Algeria. So one time he was in the airport, and somewhere or other they took him out, and he was supposed to go to the jail.
Go to where?
To the jail.
Jail.
So in hopelessness, somewhere or other he got the inspiration, and he threw himself in dandavats and touched the person's feet, and he said, please, please be merciful unto me, because if I'm not getting on this plane, I will be in big trouble. So it worked, because the man said, follow me. And he went out, and the plane was already on the tarmac to take
The runway,
off.
the runway. Yeah.
The runway to take off. And then he signed, and somewhere or other he got on the plane.
Wow.
It helped him.
Where was he when that happened? Where?
It was in Algeria, I think.
He was in
And
Algeria.
he had a flight to Paris.
Okay, he was in Algeria when that happened,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Amazing. Yeah.
And he was giving the class, and he was telling this story, so it stuck in my mind.
Nice. Amazing how the Lord works.
Yes.
Take shelter of the Lord, and then whatever the Lord wants, whatever's best for us will happen. Whatever is best. We may have other reasons why not just to accept that for a greater reason. Sometimes one may not accept it. In the heart you may, but externally you may also not accept the situation for the welfare of others too sometimes. There are external and internal factors going on here. Internal and external. The internal one is our own, the external one is consideration of others. So this is a personal one. And yeah, Krishna worked for that particular officer to save him from that. Happens like that sometimes. All the time. All the time. Whatever Krishna does is good. Everyone knows the story of the king who had his finger cut off. He was safe from death. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki